previous broadcast, we broke down the story that was emerging at that point in time regarding Nils Koppen, who was believed at that point to be the leading candidate to become West Ham United's new head of player recruitment. Now, since then, there have been various media outlets, principally Sky Sports, who have pushed that story forwards and saying that now that Nils Koppen is set to be appointed, the only thing that is holding it up is a work permit. But here's the real angle that I believe we need to be mindful of. Mark Noble is clearly taking on more responsibility and more influence over West Ham's playing identity, I believe. Nuno Espírito Santo will have to operate within that framework. And behind the scenes, interim CEO Karim Virani may be quietly positioning himself for the permanent CEO job, with Koppen's appointment the first major sign of that. Let's get stuck into it. Now, we are officially preparing for life in the EFL Championship after we finished 18th in the Premier League. 2 points behind Spurs, 39 points in total, was not enough to survive. We haven't been in the Championship since 2012, when Big Sam dragged us up through the playoffs. Now, it's Nuno Espírito Santo's turn, and he's done it before. He won the title with Wolves in 2018. But to do it again, we need a stable football structure, not the chaos that we've had in recent years. And I believe that's exactly what this Koppen appointment reveals. Before we go any deeper, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, do me a massive favour, hit the like button and drop a hype if you've got one. In the top left-hand corner, you will see a QR code. If you get your mobile device out and scan it, it will take you straight to our YouTube subscription page. It's completely free. There's no data taken from you. It just helps to massively grow the channel into something bigger and better down the track. Now, getting back into it, so Sky Sports News' Chris Reedy has confirmed that Nils Koppen is set to be appointed as West Ham's Director of Player Recruitment, will be his official title, and the work permit is the only thing that is left that we need to get sorted out. But the key detail is this: Nils Koppen will lead recruitment. However, it would appear that Mark Noble will start to get involved in shaping the football direction. This is a defined structure when Mark Noble's influence is expanding and Nuno's role is becoming more focused. And yes, Sky Sports say that Nuno was involved in the process of appointing Nils Koppen, but it's not specified how much influence he actually had. I believe that's important. It suggests that Nuno was consulted, but he wasn't in control. And here's the part that I don't think people are talking about enough. Nils Koppen and West Ham's interim CEO, Karim Virani, work together at Rangers. So they know each other, they understand each other, and they've operated in the same structure before. And it's believed that inside the club, Karim Virani was the driving force behind Nils Koppen coming in. I believe that's massive, because if Karim Virani is handpicking senior football staff, if he's shaping the recruitment department, if he's influencing the rebuild, then it strongly suggests that Daniel Kretinsky may appoint Virani as CEO permanently. This Koppen appointment might not just be about recruitment. It might be the first sign of a long-term executive structure beginning to take shape before our very eyes. Now, Sky Sports have outlined what is believed to be a new leadership model. Now, Mark Noble is our sporting director, but his influence will be growing. And some of the things that he is or will become more involved in as time goes on will be things such as contracts, the academy, player sales, football culture, long-term planning, and increasing influence over our playing identity. As for Nils Koppen, he will be, as I say, our Director of Player Recruitment once he comes in through the door. Now, his remit will include identifying talents, leading the scouting department, driving recruitment strategy, bringing players in, and he will execute Mark Noble's footballing direction. And obviously, as I say, he was brought in with Karim Virani's influence. As for Nuno Espírito Santo, he's obviously part of this dynamic. He will be the head coach dealing with the first team, and his remit will be coaching, tactics, squad usage, player development, making sure that he works within the structure that Noble oversees. And he also had, as I say, an involvement in the appointment of Nils Koppen, but it is unclear how much he was actually involved. Karim Virani, as I say, he's the interim CEO at the moment. As I say, he worked with Nils Koppen at Rangers and was believed to be the driving force behind Koppen's appointment. And as I say, I believe this will mean if he was given this autonomy by Daniel Kretinsky, then I believe that it's very possible that Karim Virani is potentially positioning himself as a permanent CEO at the club. Now, as well as that, the other element to this structure is obviously the board, and their remit will be financial oversight and obviously major decisions. Now, I don't believe this is going to necessarily be Nuno Espírito Santo and Mark Noble working side by side, as maybe some outlets might have you believe. In my opinion, this will be more about Mark Noble shaping the football identity. It will then be Nils Koppen executing it, and Nuno's remit, as I say, will be coaching the team within that identity, and obviously Karim Virani quietly pulling strings from up above. Now, I believe there's several things here that are coming into focus as far as Mark Noble specifically is concerned. He's obviously taking on more responsibility, and I believe, as a West Ham fan and a former captain as well, through and through, claret and blue, I believe he will want to shape the club's long-term footballing identity. So the recruitment must match the culture that Mark Noble would ideally want to see be created within the club. Now, as well as that, I think we also need to recognise that any head coach or manager, call them what you want, must also fit into the club's identity and not the other way around. And I believe also that Mark Noble would see himself as the guardian of West Ham's DNA, if you will. Now, I think that's quite significant. Mark Noble, I believe, if it goes this way, wouldn't just be overseeing contracts and academy decisions. He would actively be shaping how West Ham United play, what types of players we sign, and what the club should look like on the pitch. And Nils Koppen is being hired to help Mark Noble build that identity with Karim Virani's backing. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because let's be completely honest, West Ham fans want football played in a certain way. They want intensity, they want aggression, they want front foot football, they want identity, purpose, and something that feels like we're playing the West Ham way. However, Nuno is more pragmatic than fans of this club would normally tolerate. He's structured, he's cautious, he's system-driven, he prioritizes control over chaos, and he builds from stability, not flair necessarily. Now, also, we have to remember that whilst Nuno was at Nottingham Forest, when the recruitment didn't match his footballing philosophy, it caused a bit of a clash of personalities with Edu, who inhabited their, I think he was called their global head of football or something along those lines. But it's effectively the same thing as the sporting director of football, that sort of level, if you will. Now, I believe we're going to try and avoid that by giving Noble the oversight, Koppen a defined lane, and Nuno was also being given a clear role. I think that will hopefully remove the ambiguity and any overlap with responsibilities. Now, it could be argued that this structure could protect Nuno from conflict. However, it also means that Nuno must operate within Noble's footballing identity. And that's possibly going to cause a few problems, I think, maybe. But we'll just have to see how that plays out. And as I say, Nuno, whilst he was involved in Nils Koppen's appointment, we don't actually know how much influence he had. Now, I think that what we will see here, and this comes off of the back of the Sky Sports report that says that we can expect transfer activity to accelerate once Nils Koppen is confirmed. Now, this is crucial because obviously we're approaching pre-season by the day. Players are going to begin to return to Rush Green, and we need championship-ready signings, it's fair to say. We will also inevitably, I believe, need replacements for both Mateus Fernandes and Crescencio Somerville. And we're going to need some depth, we're going to need some physicality, and we're going to need some experience of the championship. But what's important is that we're not planning a fire sale, it would appear. There will be some interest that comes our way, and along with it, some bids for players. But the club want a controlled rebuild, not a reset, if you will. Now, I believe that this will also reflect Mark Noble's influence because he, I'm sure, will also want a degree of stability about the club. Now, before Nils Koppen can start to bring players in, we will probably conclude a few major sales, as I say, Fernandes and Somerville being the first ones, the first cabs off the rank. And I do believe there will be others that follow. Now, with the funds that generates, that will then fund the rebuild. And Nils Koppen's job will be to make sure that any money that we accrue from this is spent wisely and not wasted. So it would appear that right now there's a lot going on behind the scenes at West Ham United. We're in a new league, we've got a new financial reality, new squad needs, new ownership influence, and a CEO potentially moving into from an interim role to a permanent one. Which all of these things combined, it might appear to be disruptive, chaotic, and stressful. But if Nils Koppen brings stability, Mark Noble will bring direction, and Karim Virani will make sure that there is a degree of continuity. And I believe that if all this comes to pass, it's a promising appointment, and the structure would be designed to avoid the kind of internal conflict that Nuno Espírito Santo has had before. Now, here's my take. I think that this is a smart move from Daniel Kretinsky primarily, and then obviously down from that, obviously Karim Virani as well. I think it's strategic, it's timely, it's built around Mark Noble's growing influence. And as I say, it's also backed by Karim Virani's connection to Nils Koppen. Now, I think also it would give Nuno clarity, but it wouldn't give him control. Now, as far as Nils Koppen's concerned, he's not a flashy appointment. He's not a headline name. But he is a structural signing, and he's the kind of signing that actually matters when it comes down to it. And we got to recognize that if we want to bounce back immediately back to the Premier League, we need a clear recruitment strategy. We need a functioning scouting department. We need fast, decisive signings, championship-ready players, and a squad that's built for Nuno's system. Now, I think Koppen gives us that. Noble will oversee it. Virani will support it. Nuno needs to work within it. And yes, Nuno had involvement in Koppen's appointment, but the uncertainty around how much influence would tell you everything about where the power now sits, I believe. I think this is a good move. I think this is a necessary move. And in all honesty, I think it could be a move that potentially could define our entire season. And if you've enjoyed the analysis, do us a favor. If you just hit the like button, drop us a hype if you can. That would be much appreciated. In the top left-hand corner of your screen, you can see a QR code. If you get out your mobile device, if you scan that, it will take you to our subscription page on YouTube. It's completely free of charge. Don't get any data sensitive information. It just helps to move the subscription numbers forwards from where you currently find it. And get your comments in the section below. Is Nils Koppen the right appointment? How much influence should Mark Noble have? And is Karim Virani quietly becoming our next full-time CEO? Get your comments in the section below, and I'll see you next time. Come on, you Irons.